Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining our Redington and Palo Alto session. Today topic it's about what's new in Pan OS 9.1, and we have Naveed, our pre-sales consultant from Redington Value, who will be running throughout the session. We hope we will provide you all the information required, and you can go to the Q&A button on the left. At the end of the session, we will answer all your questions. Naveed, over to you.
Okay, Ragda. Thank you. Hello, guys. My name is Naveed, and I'm the pre-sales engineer for enterprise security in Redington Gulf. So I've been working with for Palo Alto networks, on Palo Alto networks, I would say, for the last couple of years, 2.5 years now. So, and we have seen some, good enhancements since past couple of years when it came, when we talk about PAN OS. So started with PAN OS 6, and then every year they made major change in the OS, and they come up with a new major version every time. So PAN OS 7, I would say, came out a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and then PAN OS 8, and then PAN OS 9 uh, came out this year, and then within few more months they have come up with PAN OS 9.1. So then they have been, if you are following their try to focus on or overcome. With SD-WAN, with provided by Palo Alto networks, they basically integrate security along with SD-WAN connectivity, and in a native fashion, so that you don't feel the congestion or the lag when it comes to security and network connectivity together. So dynamic user groups, this is something which is more adaptive, I would say, in terms of security policy and user group mapping. So usually or normally, even with Palo Alto networks before, the security policies were based on user group, but it was not based upon the behavior. It was more static. So that if the user, even if a legitimate or an authorized user changes his behavior, it will still be getting the same level of access, because the policy depends upon the user group or user role rather than the user behavior in Palo Alto firewall, or I would say in any firewall. Now that has changed with dynamic user groups. Based upon the user behavior, the Palo Alto firewall will define a varied level of access to that user or group. And third, global product enhancements. So there has been, I would say, a huge enhancement when it comes to global protect. Currently, if you see the situation of COVID-19, everyone is working from home, and everyone needs their remote workforce to be more efficient. So global protect, with version 9.1 enhancements, it it gives the admin more control over the VPN implementation or VPN visibility, uh, troubleshooting, and reporting. So this is a high level about what Panos 9.1 has brought for its customers. We'll be seeing more in detail, and I will also try to run few videos which will demonstrate the capabilities. And I would like your cooperation. I might not be able to show. I mean, I will try to coordinate and show the video and audio as well. There are some challenges that I'm facing with the audio, so let's see how it goes. To secure SD-WAN, yeah. So the challenges, like we discussed with SD-WAN, there are many vendors in the market which provide SD-WAN. Some provide with on-prem connectivity, some are totally cloud-based or cloud delivered, I would say. But the main challenges that any SD-WAN vendor or SD-WAN solution provider faces is subpar security. So they try to focus on connectivity and speed, but they are not able to provide security. So it is still because they are into it's a WAN technology. It's more of networking and switching and speed. So it's not they don't focus on security, and moreover they don't have the technology to integrate security and connectivity. Uh, when it comes to WAN or SD-WAN, I would say. So unreliable performance here. So they try to because of the infrastructure and the applications that currently are being used. Everyone is trying to go to cloud. So they have their own. So the organizations, they have the headquarters, they have their branch offices, and they are trying to go to cloud, or even there are some migrate to cloud, I would say, or there are some organizations which do not have even headquarters. They are directly, started on the cloud infrastructure. So all these different types of, I would say, architectures or business requirements, they are not able to. They need time or money consuming technologies like MPLS, okay, which provide you a dedicated bandwidth, but they also are heavy on the pocket. So using WAN for such a huge setup and huge amount of bandwidth requirement is costly, and as well as it is not 100% secure, and it doesn't provide you the best performance. So if a user is trying to it has a cloud based application and has a headquarter and branch office setup, so the users will instead of going to because they are into in hub and spoke connectivity between the branch and headquarters, the internet or the user has to route from his branch office internet to the head office internet, and then and then he has to route to anywhere outside the headquarters. So it would be the cloud infrastructure in terms of SaaS applications. So it adds unnecessary lag and unnecessary latency and unreliable performance in that way, and increased complexity definitely. So if you want to implement a WAN connectivity, it has multiple steps in it. So first, the local network of the organization, that will be like the first or the local step that the users will go through. Then there is the first step or first mile, which mostly it is called the ISP hub, and then the second mile, which is the backbone hub. So, first, when the user tries to access internet, any resource on the internet, he will go out of he will how to go out of his local router to the ISP router, and then from the ISP router to the backbone provider router. So there are multiple, which is not visible to us as user. We are only worried about or concerned about our router in our premise. So the ISP router and the backbone provider router, they are hidden to us, and they have a huge network of connected devices which they have to maintain and make sure that everything is working fine. And and that basically adds complexity to their management and infrastructure. So, so the thing is, its SD-WAN is huge. The network is complex. Even though they try to get more secure, but it they get affected on the performance. So with SD-WAN from Palo Alto Networks, you know that Palo Alto already has next generation firewall, uh, with security embedded in it. So they already are the consistent industry leading security provider. So, and then they are also known for the computing or the speed that they provide. So we already have the security and the throughput and the performance that such kind of heavy applications, SaaS applications or cloud based infrastructure, or current business requirements of migrating to cloud need, even on-prem and even on cloud. So and it's also easily available and easy to use. So if you have used Palo Alto firewalls before, they have come up with with a one step or one click configuration option wherein you just register the firewall, and then you just go on the online portal, support portal, and it starts the configuration for you, the basic configuration. So similarly, there are many ways of for easily configuring the device to just get started. So when it comes to SD-WAN, how do we do it? So we already have SD-WAN capable. We already had, or I would say, SD-WAN capable firewalls, which still provides best-in-class security. So with all these features, and if you are a Palo Alto customer and you have worked on it, you are aware of that. If not, then it's a good thing to know. So they already have the features like app IDs, content ID, user ID, which detects the application or traffic flowing through the firewall and inspects the content of the traffic and maps the traffic with the user so that it can control whatever is going in and out of the network based upon user-based policies. Okay. So when it comes to security, they already have features like session tracking, geolocation identification, user and IP address mapping, security policies for controlling the traffic, based upon user, based upon protocol, based upon application service, even QoS, okay, and then the routing. It has got various type of. It supports automatic and static routing, etc., etc., and updating the contents on a frequent basis. So, in short, PAN-OS already performs the most difficult networking and security functions. So, with PAN-OS 9.1, what they have added is enhanced features to provide new capabilities of SD-WAN, which are path metrics and path selection, along with dynamic path change. So, as the name suggests, it basically provides I would say a reliable, dynamic, and intelligent selection of WAN links. When an organization has multiple WAN links connecting to internet and connecting to different locations, for example. So if uh, for example, if there's a hub and spoke connectivity or a branch and headquarters connectivity, where the headquarters has three links and the headquarters has one link going to internet, one link going to cloud, provider. I would say like the AWS public clouds or sometimes even private cloud, and two links going to branches. So they have different links and they have different destinations. So SD-WAN works for in this scenario as well, where you have multiple links for multiple different locations and connectivity for them, and it also works for links to between two or two links between same locations. So, for example, if you have a branch and a headquarter, both are connected by two links. So you can use those two links between the two same locations to make sure that the traffic is flowing reliably and the performance is achieved. So in terms of application, okay. So SD-WAN provides you with the capability to dynamically and intelligently select between these two links using these features like monitoring the path metrics, like is there latency, is there packet loss, is there packet jitter in the link, any of the links, and based upon the quality of the link and the requirement of the application, you can define like what kind of application is mission critical, what is does which needs high bandwidth, and based upon the requirement of the application, based upon the links available, and based upon the health of the links, you can select what kind of link should be taken to to route the application traffic through the link. So you can also share the links between these two WAN links, or you can have a failover kind of scenario where it's called traffic distribution. So the application is going through one healthy link, and if it goes down, will switch to other healthy, the other one which is already active and healthy within less than a second, I would say. So that's how fast it is. That's what is dynamic path change. So we'll see a bit in more detail about these three features. But the idea here is that SD-WAN, along with security, has been provided by Palo Alto. So yeah, in short, this is what I explained. So three main features: path, collect path metrics. So as firewall itself has the next generation firewall security features. It has now it has been SD-WAN has been added as a feature. So it works with the same NGFW platform with same security subscriptions, but provides you with better WAN connectivity and application control and performance. So path one, you can have a specific. You can define a I would say a profile for path. It's called a path profile. We'll see what exactly in detail how to configure it. So the path profile will you can define what kind of jitter, what kind of delay, and what kind of packet drops you can monitor in the link. So if that threshold is exceeded, the 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 SD-WAN feature will change the traffic the the destination for the application from link one to link or path one to path. Then per application path select path selection. So here this is more of for for SaaS applications or cloud based infrastructures. So when these the feature of per app sell per app per path selection doesn't work when it comes to SaaS applications. So with NGFW and Palo Alto, this has been made possible with the help of with policy-based routing and even with SD-WAN features. So either it is packet routing or it is no routing at all when it comes to cloud-based applications. So with the SD-WAN features, it is application-based routing that to per path or per path, per application-based path selection. So one application can be routed through one ISP link and or one path, and the other application can be routed through other ISP link or path. Similarly, you can in real time switch the traffic between two different paths or ISP links within seconds, within less than seconds, and you will not even feel that there was there was a disconnection in the connection in the traffic, or it will not be a bad user experience as it usually is when you face a network disconnection. Yeah, and same. So the core platform for providing SD-WAN is on-prem is next generation firewall. Okay, it can be done without central management, but uh, with central management as well. Palo Alto, which is Panorama. Palo Alto has added the capability to to define in templates the configuration for SD-WAN to manage the all the firewalls where you need to enable SD-WAN in device groups. You can manage them in device groups, configure the templates. Basically, they have added the in the template the functionality to configure SD-WAN on Panorama and push that to all of your firewalls. So it just needs a plugin. There is a plugin that needs to be installed for SD-WAN. It's called SD-WAN plugin, and it can be downloaded and installed on the Panorama through the web browser. And then, so and one thing that, like I said, it is easier to manage, but they always try to make sure that they are making the configuration easy, going a kickstart to their customers, so that they can be one step ahead. There is something called zero touch provisioning, where if you go for SD-WAN and you choose Palo Alto Networks, they will be delivering the next generation firewall to your branch, and you just need to power on the next generation firewall, and you need to do the initial configuration, which is also well guided, and then you have to just register it to the to on a portal, okay, so which is hosted by Panorama. So if you have an on-premise on-prem Panorama, you can use that. Otherwise, you can something called Prisma Access, which is also a Palo Alto technology for SASE, Secure Access Service Edge. So it's more of edge security, and it's I would say it's also hosted or managed by Panorama and GFWs, but on cloud. So it will you when you go for SD-WAN subscription, you just need to do these steps. You need to connect it to the internet and as a gateway, and then power it on, and then register it on the portal, Panorama portal, and then it will take all the configuration from the uh, Prisma Access. So when I'm saying Panorama, Prisma Access is a SASE technology which is made up of next generation firewalls, Palo Alto next generation firewalls, and central management, which is Panorama. So on the back end, the firewalls act as the gateways or edge gateways for the cloud, and central management is still provided by Panorama, but it is not visible to us. So we have it launched as a product called Prisma Access. So it will be the same Panorama portal, but it will be on the cloud, and then all the configuration is done by Panorama centrally, and all the for example, if there are 10 branches, 10 next generation firewalls, all has to be connected through SD-WAN. All of that can through VPN, all of that can be done by Panorama. You just need to power on that firewall and connect it to Panorama or Prisma Access. So deployment architectures, yeah, mainly there are two types of deployment architectures. When it comes to any kind of SD-WAN, it is mesh and hub and spoke. So mesh is, as you can see, it doesn't have a central hub. You have different end gateways or different endpoint or end routers or firewalls at different locations, and all of them are connected through more than two links. Okay, so but the good thing is, if you don't need you don't have a headquarters, or if you are a small business where you only have branch offices or remote offices, and you don't need hub connectivity, you can go for this kind of setup where you will be directly connected to each other with more than one or two links at least, and it is ideal for small scale regional development. So here, it is good for short distances. It is good to avoid latency, and you don't have much, I would say, traffic or huge traffic bandwidth, or you don't have heavy applications which generate a lot of bandwidth that can choke up your ISPs. So if you have short distance and you don't have a headquarter, or you don't need a hub centrally, you don't have a huge deployment, small and medium business, you can go for mesh. Whereas when you talk about hub and spoke, it's a global deployment. Not just so mesh I would say it's more of a city or a state, where your branch offices or remote offices are distributed. But here, hub and spoke, it's all about it's different countries, different regions. So you need a edge firewall or gateway in each region, so that all the remote offices or branch offices can be connected to that central hub, and that hub can be connected to the other one, and so on. So this is when it comes to global deployment, you have a huge setup spread across regions. So the branches connect to the nearest hubs, and the now this is something called do it yourself. So most of the SD-WAN providers, they do it on the cloud delivered. They are called cloud delivered SD-WANs. But when you try to achieve SD-WAN using your on-prem hardware, like the firewall or router and your own ISP links, it is called do it yourself, DIY. So so in this, when you're using next generation firewalls from Palo Alto, and you're using your own central management and your own ISP links, it's a DIY setup, do it yourself. So everything you have to configure as an admin. So even in hub and spoke, when it comes to DIY, that where the admin has to do, it create its own hub and connect its spokes or branches to the hub, onboard them, and establish the VPN, establish the security basically, uh, and route the traffic properly. All of this configuration has to be done by the admin, and it is quite. It definitely would be it's a time taking and complex, but it is achievable. So, but when it comes to branch offices, it is not a mesh kind of infrastructure. So it covers, it is suitable for long distances for high bandwidth applications, and you have when you have you know multiple ISP bandwidths, uh, with good ISP speed, and it is easier to manage when it comes to mesh setup. Yeah. Now there is a this is the new approach that everyone is doing, which is cloud-based approach. Um, so you basically are connected all across the globe. Okay, wherever you are, you don't have to worry about the distance. So you are connected by a cloud delivered technology. So in there are multiple vendors. So if you have heard, even when you talk about SD-WAN, Palo Alto recently acquired something called as CloudGenix. So they are cloud delivered SD-WAN technology, which was already there, and even before. And I would say Palo Alto also had started working on their SASE technology, which is Prisma Access. So they they're working on their. So Palo Alto was working a couple of months ago on their own, SD-WAN technology, which could be provided on-prem through next generation firewalls and Panorama, and through cloud through by Prisma Access. So but I don't know, due to they were still showing intention, and I don't know what led to their move of acquiring CloudGenix. But a couple of months ago they acquired it, and they have not changed the product. They are still keeping the product as it is, but they are constantly and it was not like Palo Alto did not have their own SD-WAN. They were working on their own SD-WAN, Panos 9.1, but they also acquired CloudGenix, and they have plans which we will be hearing, I would say, in a couple of months. What are they planning to do with that? So they were working on their own on-prem and cloud-based SD-WAN technology, and they acquired a cloud-delivered SD-WAN technology as well. So now um, they have not changed anything. They have now integrated Prisma Access with CloudGenix, and we will know what are the next steps. So, but these two technologies are the vendors are different. Now they are one, but the products are still different, and they are integrated together. But when it comes to Prisma Access, it works as an independent solution for cloud-based SD-WAN. And CloudGenix is also cloud-delivered SD-WAN, but it is now acquired by Palo Alto. So Prisma Access is like I said, it is a it's a cloud based technology from Palo Alto, and it's called SASE technology. If you go for an industry specific term, it's SASE, and when it comes to Palo Alto, it's called Prisma Access. Um, so the cloud is or I would say is made up of Palo Alto firewalls, next generation firewalls, acting as edge gateways, and the Panorama acting as a central management. So which basically configures and manages all the edge firewalls. It also collects the logs from them and stores it in Cortex Data Lake, and the Cortex Data Lake uses the same. In addition to these events, it also has a number of other data sources where from where it receives events and stores it in the data lake, and that is a different discussion where Cortex XDR again uses the same data lake for providing their customers with detection response and investigation and hunting capabilities, etc., etc. But Prisma Access also works on the same Cortex data lake, where it doesn't store all the logs; it stores it on the Panorama or next generation firewall devices. It stores it on the Cortex data lake. So now this cloud-based approach is much fast than and much simple to configure, simple to onboard the devices and get started with when it comes to mesh, hub and spoke, or DIY approach. Yeah, it's easy to it's definitely more reliable because it is a cloud based or cloud delivered technology. You have high availability, you have scalability, you don't have to worry about the management. It is provided entirely taken care by Palo Alto. It has the cloud, it's based on the cloud technology, so it is fast, and they have made sure every all the the cloud delivered approaches are taken to provide with high performance and security. And it's in reality, it's if you try to if you get a chance to work on it, you can see that it is very easy to onboard your next generation firewalls when you opt for SD-WAN feature on Prisma Access. It's very easy to onboard the firewalls on Prisma Access. So this was all about SD-WAN. Okay, so mm, let me see if I have a. What I can do is, because there's some challenges with my audio, I would like to run demos in the end. Okay, a demo video for each of them. So when we talk about mm, dynamic user group, okay, um, like the name says, so dynamic user means it is not a static user group. A static user group is available on the local user database of Palo Alto firewall, or it is available on the central user directory like Active Directory or LDAP, where the user groups are constant and it doesn't change unless the unless the admin does it. Yeah, so now, but still, with the user ID technology, Palo Alto networks firewalls are able to securely connect, home, remote users, branch offices, remote user groups, workforces. I would say from two different uh, destinations like internet, public cloud, cloud delivered or cloud based infrastructure through Prisma access through on-prem firewalls, and on a combination of them. So any device, any location, any app is controlled by Palo Alto networks using the user role or user group. This is more static. Yeah, and why is it? Why would do what would you be affected with? If you are an attack and if you're under attack and your user group or user role is static. Mm. So the user. So for example, this guy called John Smith, he can, if he gets phished, yeah, someone gets, for example, if he is getting phished, so his credentials will be taken, and it will be abused by the attacker, and you know, basically it will affect his user profile or his user identification. Uh, when it comes to uh, security on Palo Alto Firewall. So whatever activities he's doing will be monitored. Whatever impact is happening due to the attack, it will be recorded as he will be held responsible for it, and the it will not change anything on the user directory or the user group. Whatever will happen on the next generation firewall or security technologies, right? So you need to have a way to communicate that to the admin automatically or to the active, or to make sure that this is reflected on the user directory actively. So because if you depend upon the user directory to identify the user role or user group has become malicious or is under attack and change the security policies based upon that, that will not happen. So what in if a user who has a corporate account gets attacked, and by phishing emails or phishing attacks, and the credentials are stolen, and the machine gets compromised, and the machine is used for different command and control activity, lateral movement, and even using risky applications to make sure that the security posture of the organization is impacted. All of these things will not impact the user's role or user group on the Active Directory. It will only be visible on the firewall or any other technologies. And an admin, he has to manually look into it, look into the logs, look into the reports to know the user is infected and the security portion of the organization is I would say affected. And actions that he could take is like blocking the IP addresses from where the phishing email came, and changing the password or making a complex password or changing or adding MFA, and even to some extent to disable the user's account until the user's machine is quarantined, do the investigation, cleansing, and then remediation. But all of this is manual and it is ineffective. Yeah, disabling user account is like it's like loss of productivity, so it's a negative effect. Yeah? So and all of these are not reliable, even though it's if it is done in a automatic way. It's time consuming and it's not reliable. I would say it's manual and it causes loss of productivity. So with Palo Alto Networks, they have found out a way to not wait for the admin to to take time and uh, take manual actions when a user gets infected, a user's machine gets infected. Um, you know, yeah, but the policy cannot change. Right? If you want to block the IP addresses, you need to do it manually. So the security policies still will wait for the user group or the user role. It will depend on the same user group which has not changed on the Active Directory or on the central user directory. Okay, so in case of such advanced attacks, when you use dynamic user groups with Palo Alto, all of the activity will be monitored, and it will add up a risk score, or it will assign a risk score to the user. When a user is added to dynamic user group rather than a user group, a static user group from the Active Directory, it becomes it is monitored by the Palo Alto firewall, and the risk score is assigned. And as the risk score increases based upon the behavior of the user, the same static group, it becomes more adaptive. Okay, and based upon that risk score of the user group, the policy will be enforced, and it will not need admin to do that. Like disabling the user is a manual and admin task. So similarly, the policy will block access to the critical apps. They can enhance the authentication by adding one more level of second factor authentication. They will look into the traffic, will decrypt the application, and do the deep packet inspection, etc. So the same static user group, when it is added as a part of dynamic user group, okay, and same dynamic user group is called in the security policy, it becomes more I would say it's the policy becomes a behavior based policy rather than a group or a role or ID or user based policy. It's more of user behavior based policy. So that's the difference. So it can automatically take actions. You can configure to take for the policy to take actions based on the user behavior, to deny the traffic, to enhance the multi-factor authentication, and to also uh, decrypt the traffic, and even use other technologies like Cortex XDR and sandboxing to further investigate. So it's not shown here, but yeah, it can be done. Second thing is with dynamic user groups, it is sometimes what happens is you know admins, they get requests for time based access to to some users. So for example, as you can see, if there's a short term project and you have a new set of users uh, deployed in a branch, and they want to use uh, internet, and they should have the same set of policies and same security posture as the existing users, right, of that branch. So the but they are not going to stay for a long time. So the user groups are created, user accounts are created, policies are made as per their the security controls, etc., etc. So you enable access when the project starts, and you should ideally disable the access, and remove the step the configuration that you have done on the different technologies or different devices. But it ideally doesn't happen. The admin forgets to delete the policies, disable the user accounts, or delete the user accounts, and etc. etc. So yeah, it's just a way to uh, enhance the security posture, uh, but removing the dependability on the admin. So with time-bound access using dynamic user groups, the same dynamic user groups can be assigned time. As you can see, it user is added to the dynamic group, and for a defined time, you can assign a timeline to that dynamic user group to for the based upon the policy as to what action should be taken, and the same action will be removed when the timeline expires. So the dynamic user groups uh, will be added or will be created, and then uh, they will be mapped to the users using tags. Okay, and then so if you see here, create dynamic user group with match criteria, change group membership without with timeout UI or API, and no commits needed. So it basically is API based, and you don't need to worry about the manual disabling of the policy. It will happen automatically when the timeline expires. So the benefits of dynamic user groups is automatic enforcement, like create the user groups on NGFW to immediately respond to the changing needs. Uh, for example, here it is the user's behavior or the user's risk, the risk score assigned to a user, or the security posture getting affected. So any changes like these can and automate the enforcement of security policies, and secondly, tighten the security. So you can take steps that can, for example, elevated authentication methods like second factor authentication, more ingestion of indicators of compromise related to the user activity from the SIM and from the threat intel, etc., etc. So you basically can take actions automatically and strengthen the security using dynamic user groups. Third is global protect enhancements. Yeah, so global protect, if you have seen, a lot of enhancements have been made since the COVID situation, but they are not released as a major version at least for an operating system for the panels. They have been adding features. So with Panos 9.1, they have made a huge change uh, when it when it comes to I would say admin level. So the admin gets to gets a huge a different dashboard for Palo Alto for the Global Protect VPN to monitor the connectivity, to monitor the sessions, to monitor the users which are connected remotely. Um, they have a dedicated uh, log section now for Global Protect VPN logs, and they have separate reports. So they have a separate database added now on the backend for Global Protect, and you can create templates, custom reports using the templates for Global Protect. So previously it was not there. This has been dedicatedly done, seeing the COVID situation and the work from home requirement, and the increase in use of remote users or remote workforce, or VPN remote connectivity through VPN. Yeah. So if you have seen ACC application command center, it has a new tab now, panels 9.1 for global protect for monitoring the global protect activity. So these are like dashboards or more or dashboard panels monitoring the real time activity about global protect connections and global protect client deployment activity. So here you can see how are the what are the reasons for failure of any client, and what is the reason? Is it because of the certificate, or is it because of the username and password? You can see all the connections to the different users, sorry, to the different portals and gateways, reasons of failure of the connection, how many connections are happening from which location, how many connections are happening from which user, or how many users are connected. That would be the right way to tell. And global project deployment activity. This is all about unsuccessful global project connection activity. So it's not just these two panels. There's a huge tab with multiple panels. These are some of them. So connection information, deployment information, like about the the endpoint. So how many endpoints with what OS, how many connections, how many users, etc. So you get a high level, glance about to track the like you see here agent deployment progress, to troubleshoot root cause or issues, and to monitor the user behavior pattern or user connection pattern. So rapid. So this is all about dashboards, high level dashboards to monitor, like an executive level dashboard for the managers to monitor the global protect activity. When it comes to troubleshooting, yeah, you can I the because of the dedicated logs and dedicated columns as well sometimes to different to add more context to the logs. The admins can easily troubleshoot when connection is failing from a specific user. So you can just look into the logs and you can track, you know, at which step is it failing? Is it at the Global Protect portal or is it the Global Protect gateway? And in that step also, which sub step it is failing? Is it user authentication or is it certificate exchange, or is it encryption protocol mismatch, etc. So step by step tracking of connection progress and rapid identification of root cause becomes very easy when with the new feature. So it's like, personally, if you go and check it out, you will be amazed to see, they have made a dedicated log section called Global Protect, where you can see, each and every step that is happening in between two sites or between a client and a site, to establish the VPN each and every step. And this, the step that fails, that they will find out, and from these logs within minutes, not even minutes, I would say within few seconds, if he's you know having it all the time up and running. Um, so even they have added more columns, so you get an option to see HIP uh, details, like from, if you enable the HIP feature on the Global Protect, you can also see details about the OS, about the client version, about the browser version, etc. Added also a few more uh, columns to be, as to be selected when you want to see more context of the log. Yeah. So reporting, yeah, they have added a dedicated log database for Global Protect. So you get the functionality of using the database and template and generate custom reports for Global Protect. There are predefined reports as well, and there are predefined reports for in general as well. So there are many predefined reports. Even before this, PAN 9.1, there were a lot of predefined reports with Palo Alto, but the customizable report functionality was not there. Yeah, there you can create customizable reports, but it was not that great. So they have enhanced, not just they've added predefined report templates for Global Protect, but they have also added customizable reports for in general as well as on for Global Protect. Mm, so they have also added a new support level, so platinum support, which is, I believe, the new top tier support expertise whenever, wherever. So it has got. I'm not sure about the SLA, but we can check it out on the web page or the data sheet. But it is the best. Provides the best response time, and it proves security response and investigations. So it's apart from I believe bronze, silver, and gold support. This is better than that. And now to incorporate SD-WAN, for their, or to make sure that the users who are opting for SD-WAN get a kickstart. They have something called as Quick Start Professional Service, which accelerates deployments and enables best practices. So if you saw the the one click or zero click deployment, if you see this, I'd like to go a few slides back. Uh, this is what it provides. It provides you with zero touch provisioning. The when you go for Palo Alto Networks firewall with the professional services, they will they will deliver the firewall to your branch. They will connect it automatically. They will onboard the firewalls, and they will basically consume the Prisma access, okay, for setting up the SD-WAN, or use the Prisma access as cloud-based approach for setting up the SD-WAN. And they will, the initial deployment will be like one hub and 10 branches. So quickly deploy the SD-WAN and optimize the SD-WAN policies. So it says accelerate the deployments and expand. So the initial deployment will be zero touch, onboarding of the branches or remote offices to the SD-WAN, and then setting up one hub and 10 branches, optimizing it, monitoring it, and then if the customer still likes it, they like the SD-WAN technology provided by Palo Alto and the support provided, they can opt for expansion. So that is another step where you can, the same professional services will work and onboard 50 branches. and they can have multiple hubs as well. It depends upon the requirement of the customer, the topology, the applications, the nature of the applications, multiple things. ISP links, how is the bandwidth, how is the health, etc. Okay, that is it. Thank you. So I would just like to start some few demo videos so that we have an understanding of what exactly we talked about. Okay. So can anyone let me know if you can see my screen? So can anyone tell me if you can see my screen and hear my voice? Hello. Great. So, oops, sorry for the typo. I will run few videos so you have an understanding of what we talked about. This is about SD-WAN. Okay. Data is moving beyond the network perimeter. As businesses migrate apps to the cloud and increase the number of devices at their branches. Uh, just give me a. Can you give me a go ahead, Srinivas, if you are hearing it? Fine. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. The need for this renders as ineffective as it backhaul from the branches to the cloud. This is why distributed enterprises are adopting software-defined wide area networks (SD-WAN), an approach that leverages commodity links and allows you to intelligently manage and control connectivity between branches. But while SD-WAN comes with its own benefits, it also brings challenges such as the lack of security, unreliable performance since it leverages the congested internet as your WAN middle, and adds complexity when building your end-to-end SD-WAN infrastructure. With Palo Alto Networks SD-WAN, you can easily deploy an end-to-end SD-WAN architecture with natively integrated world-class security and connectivity. Using Prisma Access as the SD-WAN hub, you can optimize the performance of your entire SD-WAN network, allowing you to minimize latency and ensure reliability, resulting in an exceptional user experience at the branch. Ultimately, you can build the hub and interconnect infrastructure yourself using Palo Alto Networks' next generation firewalls. Regardless of the deployment model, you can manage security and SD-WAN on a single intuitive interface. Hi everyone, I'm Suresh Venkatraman, Director of Product Management here at Palo Alto Networks. We've expanded the capabilities of our market-leading next-generation firewalls to support secure SD-WAN in PAN-OS Release 9.1. Let's take a quick look at how PAN-OS 9.1 delivers on the goal of making it possible to enforce consistent security policies while delivering the best application performance. Let's first start with the goal of a single, consistent set of policies and views to deliver both security and link connectivity. Our customers have relied on Panorama as the central manager for their network deployment, and we have expanded the capabilities of Panorama to provide central management and visibility for your SD-WAN deployment. From the same single pane of glass, you get a comprehensive look at the health,
of the applications and the links in your SD-WAN deployment. SD-WAN deployments are set up as VPN clusters of hubs and branches. With our SD-WAN monitoring dashboards, you get to see a bird's eye view of the clusters, hubs, and branches that have seen impacted applications. You can also pivot to see the clusters where links were down, had performance issues, or were operating optimally. Within just 3 clicks, the visibility screens allow you to drill down into any area of interest, such as getting to a specific site that had an issue, and from that site, the specific application that was impacted. Further, the application view also allows you to view the distribution and the specific links on which the application sessions were established, and the link characteristics, latency, jitter, and packet loss for that specific link for that specific time window. This visibility allows you to easily identify applications that do not meet the expectations of the user in terms of network performance and to troubleshoot those links. When combined with our existing ACC visibility screens that showcase the security posture and health of the applications, you have comprehensive visibility into the security and performance of the applications over SD-WAN. Now, let's take a look at how we make the optimal path choices to ensure the application's performance. For example, let's consider a hospital with urgent care branch offices. The doctors communicate with patients and their specialist colleagues in the hospital headquarters through a video conferencing application. This application is sensitive to latency and jitter and has tight requirements for those characteristics. A poor connection could result in critical information not being conveyed correctly and can be very frustrating in important discussions with patients. The nursing staff at the urgent care branch need to download large X-ray files from the main hospital. The X-ray viewer application is sensitive to packet loss. A high packet loss causes the packets to be retransmitted, delaying the rendering of the X-rays. We have made it simple to create the policies that help you define the SD-WAN path selection logic down to the granularity of an application. The network admin can set the path selection criteria where they define the requirements of the latency, jitter, and packet loss for their application, and how sensitive, high, medium, or low, each of these are for that particular application. We ship default values for several common profiles of applications. Let's choose VoIP video for the video conferencing application. Admins can also define how aggressively the links are measured. They affect how quickly the firewall will react to the degradation of the link measurements and move the application to a more suitable available path. Finally, the admins can define a criteria for path selection in the SD-WAN route to determine how the paths are chosen. So now, when the nursing staff download large files when a video conferencing session is on, any degradation in the link's characteristics is detected, and the video session is automatically transferred over to the next best available path. In scenarios like these, with bandwidth-heavy applications, the network admin could also use the firewall's quality of service, QoS capabilities, to ensure a guaranteed or a maximum amount of bandwidth to overlay the SD-WAN behavior to ensure optimal application performance. Let's also see how we help with the operational aspects of setting up your SD-WAN environments. From Panorama, the admin has to select from the list of onboarded devices and assign them as hubs or branches to VPN clusters. The VPN tunnels between the branches and the hubs will be automatically set up, saving significant time and effort while also minimizing errors in the tunnel setup process. We support zero-touch provisioning to onboard any new firewalls that you have to set up. Once the network admin approves the new firewalls, Panorama will automatically upgrade the firewalls to the desired software version and configure these firewalls. The networking teams will no longer have the challenge of balancing reliable user experience while ensuring consistent security policies. With iOS 9.1 releases support for SD-WAN, users can get consistent industry-leading security, high performance, and a simple way to deploy and manage SD-WAN. Thanks for watching.
So this was all about SD-WAN, where you can use zero-touch provisioning to onboard uh, the the branch firewalls using the Panorama. Okay, so you can have, if you have any questions, you can post it on the chat, and we will address it in the end of the session. Moving on to dynamic user groups, you know,
Hello, I am Nitin Matt, product manager network. Today, I will be walking you through dynamic user group capability in iOS 9.1. First, we'll look at how this feature is used to provide temporary time-bound access. Then, we will dive into how you can adapt your security to follow user behavior. Jumping into the first example. Let's say you're working with a contractor who needs temporary access to your system. Today, you would either leverage directory-based groups requiring changes from a directory access or create new ad hoc policies for this contractor. Both these approaches are time-consuming. More importantly, once the contractor is finished, admins are usually too busy to manually delete these temporary rules. As a result, attackers can take advantage of such over-provisioned access, creating security risks for you. With dynamic user group, you can provide temporary access to specific users, such as contractors or remote users and special teams for a period of time. Here, you see, I have created a dynamic user group on the firewall and I'm adding GameScript to the contractor group. This user will be automatically removed once the set time is up, resulting in simplified operations and reduced risks for you. Let's look at a second example of how you can automate security actions and adapt your security to user behavior. Let's say an attacker has got hands on one of your configurations and has infiltrated your network. The attacker now has the same privileges as that of the victim if your security is purely based on direct information. And because of that, attacker is able to move laterally on the network and compromise additional user accounts. With dynamic user group, you can stop these threats. The attacker actions trigger alerts from threat detection and response tools such as user behavior analytics, SIMs, firewalls, or Cortex XDR. Then these solutions can send information on user risk and behavior directly to the firewall or through Demisto, our security orchestration, automation, and response platform as user tags. Additionally, this feature allows you to automatically tag users based on events in the logs and send these tags to all firewalls on the network. Now, firewall admin can define a criteria on how we want to group the users based on these tags. Let's take a closer look. Here, I'm creating a group called risky users using two tags. One from a behavioral tool and another from an identity provider. Next, admins can determine what actions they want to take based on these tags. For risky users, I'm decrypting all the traffic via decryption policy. And here I'm enforcing MFA for all essential apps and blocking access to all critical apps. When the user behavior changes, the user gets tagged and will map to the coordinating groups, allowing the next generation firewall to automatically enforce granular policies. This makes remediation effortless and automatic. In previous releases, iOS has brought you the security that follows users irrespective of who they are, their location, or device. With this release, we are bringing you the security that adapts to the user behavior. As always, we bring you security that matters. And there you have it, a quick rundown of a new feature, Dynamic User Group, in iOS 9.1. Thanks for watching.
So moving on to the last one, Global Protect. To ensure high productivity levels for your mobile workforce, you need to secure their network and remote access. To do this effectively, your admins need full visibility into your users' network connections, along with the applications they are accessing and the devices they're using to connect. You also need visibility into any connectivity or access issues your users may be experiencing to proactively address these issues before they escalate. In addition, comprehensive logging and visibility are essential for customers to meet their auditing and compliance requirements. Your organization can stay ahead by providing precise reports on all network and application access activities. Hello everyone, I am Sarvesh Rao. I am the product manager for Global Protect here at Palo Alto Networks. Today, let's look at the enhanced Global Protect visibility, reporting, and troubleshooting features now available in PanOS 9.1. With PanOS 9.1, all Global Protect related events are now logged in a dedicated Global Protect log. When you connect to the Global Protect portal or gateways, it generates events for every stage of the connection workflow. Let's walk through an example where you establish a connection using the Global Protect app, and let's review the events generated at every stage of the process. Here you can see that your connection to the portal goes through stages such as before login, and configuration, with each of these stages itself having multiple events. This is followed by a connection to the gateway to establish a tunnel. That goes through before login, configuration, tunnel, connected, and post stages, with underlying events in each stage. When a user is experiencing connection issues, now the administrator can easily troubleshoot and resolve the issue by quickly identifying which stage of the connection process and specifically which event the issue is happening. Global Protect also provides full context information for the connection, such as the host name of the user's device, the IP address assigned to the tunnel, the public IP the user is connecting from, their username, the client OS, and the Global Protect app version. If any errors occur in the connection process, they are logged clearly in the error column. iOS also logs other relevant information, such as the connection duration. You can apply the easy-to-use log filtering capabilities to narrow down a specific user or connection activity. You can now monitor the successful connections, the unsuccessful connection attempts, and the overall Global Protect deployment using the new Global Protect dashboards available in Application Command Center or ACC. For example, if you want information on all of your organization's Global Protect connections that were established in the last 7 days or in a given period, you can set the time filter to see all the successful connection attempts to the portal and the gateways. You can also see the user source location. ACC also lets you easily monitor all the unsuccessful connection attempts. It provides information on the users who had difficulty connecting, the gateways that were attempted, and the reasons for the connection failure, and even the location the attempts originated from. You also have visibility into your Global Protect deployment with respect to what authentication methods, endpoint OSs, and app versions are being used. And if you are interested in monitoring the connection activity for a specific user, you can easily set up a global filter to do so. With PanOS 9.1, you can now easily forward interesting log events to external business intelligence, SIEMs, and various reporting systems. You can set up log forwarding profiles for the Global Protect log. Specify the log forwarding method as SNMP, email, syslog, or HTTP. And then define a
specify which global protect log activity must be automatically forwarded. To meet your compliance and auditing needs, you can now generate reports on all global protect usage in your organization. You can customize these reports by specifying the report fields and the timeframes. The predefined report templates included in PALOS 9.1 are customizable as well. PALOS 9.1 now lets you control who has access to the Global Protect log information using a role-based access control model. For example, a firewall administrator role may not be allowed access to the Global Protect log due to common compliance, privacy, or security requirements. To meet these requirements, you can easily disable access to the Global Protect log for any administrator who logs in with that particular role, whether he logs in via the web UI, CLI, or even API. iOS 9.1 gives you tremendous control over your Global Protect deployment in a single pane of glass with full visibility, comprehensive reporting, and a host of new advanced troubleshooting capabilities. Thank you for watching.
So if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, I can see a lot of questions. I think that's it. If you have any other questions, do let me know. Otherwise, my email ID is naveed.nazimullah@redingtongulf.com, and you can email me all your questions, or if you need any support with data sheets and technical briefs. Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Srinivas. Let me just check with my marketing team, and if that's fine, we can close this session. Thank you.